welcome.
You're good.
Dear audience, we are the same off camera as on camera.
I know that's right.
My name is Paul Collins. This is my co-host Nancy. We have a special guest today, Craig Beeson. This is the happy hour. It is the friendliest show on radio. It is the best look on Facebook. And get this, if you're tired of solitude, watch us on YouTube. How's that, Matt? Is that better?
Very good. A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Now, I did a little research. There are listed on, when you check it on the computer, 21 words that rhyme with tube.
Uh-oh, you know what's going to come down?
But the one I just used, solitude, is not listed. So there's really 22.
Well, I mean, technically it doesn't rhyme because the consonants are different at the end.
Listen, just because you're a songwriter, don't hold it over my head, smart aleck. Anyway, if you're tired of your solitude, watch us on YouTube. It doesn't rhyme. Watch us on YouTube.
It's okay.
All right, close enough. So there's still just 21 words, and some of them I never heard of and I can't pronounce. So there you go. Anyway, I want to remind you that beginning in September, first Friday in September, we will be on the air. Instead of at 9 o'clock, we'll be on at 9:30, following Dr. Marty Hamilton with his program called
Basics of Faith.
Basics of Faith. Now, our disclaimer, anything that you see or hear on this broadcast, do not blame Acts Ministry nor Acts Media Group. They are not responsible for the contents of this program. But we appreciate very much Acts Ministry, 26 years young ministry here in Springfield, based here, but all over the world, and their department called Acts Media Group for putting us on the air. But we are also thankful to one of the companies that really, to find out about it, you need to go to axmediagroup.com. However, you can also find it at naturalsolutionstore.bz. And there you'll find all kinds of natural solutions concerning health issues. And there's 44. There used to be 43. They added ashwagandha.
Oh.
That makes number 44. And a little later, Matt Pearson will have a kind word to say about one of the products. And we want you to go to naturalsolutionstore.bz or find it on axmediagroup.com. And while you're there, if you are of a mind to do it, make a donation to help Acts Ministry and Acts Media Group continue doing what we're doing. Everything is expensive these days. They're not getting cheaper. All right, having said all of that, I want to talk to Craig Beeson. He was here a week or so ago along with Mike Krimper, and at that time they were talking about a weight loss and maintenance program. But today, Craig is here for a different cause. Craig, welcome. And what is it you're bringing to us today?
Good morning, Paul, and thank you for having me on the show again. What I'm bringing to you is I am an independent representative with Vox Life Products. We are the only wearable neurotech company in the world. Nobody else has the product we do, but I'm just here to share it with everybody.
All right. Now, that's Vox, V-O-X-X, right?
Yes, sir.
Not box. It is not with a B. It's with a V, V-O-X-X. Is there a website folks can go to?
Yes, sir. It is voxlife.com/for-happy-feet.
All right. Do that again.
voxlife.com/for-happy-feet.
Happy feet. Okay. For happy feet?
Yep.
Okay. voxlife.com/for-happy-feet. What's that, Matthew?
It'll be running on the
Yeah, that's
banner
good.
the whole show.
I wanted to make sure you had it. All right. Okay. Tell me why these products, Craig.
Why these products? I'm very passionate about the product, number one. my wife, who I've been married to for, got to do some math.
Oh, you better hurry up. She's probably listening.
16 years now. About 7, 8 years ago, we started traveling. Ever since I've known my wife, she's always had migraine, sciatica, issues like that. And we just dealt with it. She would take some over-the-counter stuff. She'd tried some prescription stuff. But, you know, in the end, we're just putting more toxins, more chemicals in our body, and we are trying to go more green, more natural in our house. And we were on vacation in Myrtle Beach about 3 years ago, and she had a migraine. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to do anything today. I'll just kind of watch you lay around, lay on the couch in pain. And I had reached out to her, a friend of hers that I'd been following about a product, and I, out of respect towards other people and other products, I will keep that private. But I reached out about a product, and I was like, huh. And I finally convinced my wife to try it. So when we got back home, we got her on it, and we were spending about $200 a month on it. 5 months later, you're looking at it, and you're like, wow, we've spent $1,000. So anyways, I started sharing it on Facebook, and a gentleman reached out to me about a product, or about it, and asked me why I was taking it. And I said, well, I take the product for my knees because I've got sore knees. And I said, my wife takes it for this and this. And, you know, he's like, oh, really? So long story short, he sends me back a picture of a pair of socks. I thought the guy was crazy, thought he was off his rocker. It's bizarre. So he added me to a testimony page and tagged me on some migraine and sciatica post, and I started scratching my head thinking, well, maybe there's something to this. And, you know, so we went back and forth, and I finally said, well, how much is a pair of socks? And he told me, we've got a style like this, that's a mini crew, and then we've got a no-show that comes, it's a little bit lower. Back then they were $30, and I was like, wow, for a pair of socks. And I got to looking at the testimony page, just kind of going over the testimony page, and him and I went back and forth a little bit, question, answer, and then I was like, well, you know, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so I'm like, we have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And so I went and showed a picture of a pair of socks to my wife. I said, hey, check these out. And she kind of had the same reaction that myself and a lot of other people do. A pair of socks? Really? And I presented the value to her. I said, hey, we're currently spending $200 a month on what you're doing. And I said, with what you're spending on a month, you could get a year and a half's worth of socks. Bingo, boom, saving money. It's about saving money. A lot of the things I do, it's about value and trying to save people money. So she's like, sure. And I said, how many pairs do you want? She said 3. I said, I'm going to get 3. And so I messaged my guy back that I was messaging, and I said, hey, I want 6 pairs. And he came back and he said, hey, there's an opportunity. You'd be better off just to sign up, become a representative, and get it at a discount. So, boom, April 2017, I became a rep of Vox Life, and I have never been more happy with the company because of the effectiveness, the results, the value. The value is what really captured me still.
All right, now, what happened to you? By the way, I guess you know your wife's name, right?
Oh, yes, her name is Valicia.
You call her Val for short.
Yes, I call her Val.
Now, since Val is wearing the socks, what happened to the migraines?
We got into them in April. She started wearing them. She was doing both products. We went on vacation. We're in Wisconsin. And I said, I want you to wear the socks this week. I want to see if they're going to work. I said, bring the other product along with us. So we went. She wore the socks all week. We went on a couple 5-6 mile hikes while we were up there, different altitudes, things like that. We were in Wisconsin. And one day we were walking, we'd went up the mountain, came back down, we were walking on the railroad tracks, and she looks at me and she says, my back isn't bothering me. And I'm like, boom, I love it. So she went all week. We got back home. My wife has a very stressful job, and she says, I'm going to go back to using the other product. And I kind of, I was up here, and it just kind of crushed me when she said that. And I said, well, hold on. I said, I said, I want you to keep wearing the socks, but let's transition you off the other product. And over a 2-week period, we transitioned her off the other product. And, for the following month, I'd get home every day. Hey, any issues, migraines, any problems? No. And I'm like, okay. After a month, I finally quit asking her. I said, well, if she's going to have an issue, she's going to say something. So probably by the third weekend of May 2017, we had her off the other product. Since then, a little over 2 years, she hasn't had any sciatica issues. She hasn't had a migraine. She has had a headache, but not a migraine.
All right. Now, for those of you who are our loyal listeners and watchers in Europe, other parts of the world, we'll get back to you. Want you to understand that these products are universal, because I'm pretty sure that Craig will find a way to see that you're serviced if this is something you need.
Yes.
But also for our friends here in this country, hello, Shirley in St. Joe, my first secretary. You didn't think I was going to get one of these shows on the air without mentioning you, did you? Now, Shirley, I know you have some pain. You've probably tried everything but socks. Anyway, my friend over in Chesterfield, Missouri, over in suburb of St. Louis, he was a teenager when he was pastor in St. Joe many years ago. He's retired. And Jerry, you have any aches and pains? Remember the socks. People up in northeast Missouri, I know some of you up there really suffering. In fact, Janie, you'll have to tell Lynn Purdy to tell his friend Dick about the socks, all right? And then up in northwest Missouri, a couple of locations up there, I know that there's, in particular, besides Shirley, my first secretary in St. Joe, there's some other people up in that area who have some problems. Springfield, Missouri is located right in the southwest quadrant of Missouri, and Missouri is in the middle of the United States, and the United States is the middle of the world. And so, Craig, I have to tell you, there's some things I have to work in, because this is the happy hour.
Yes, sir.
That my pet name for my favorite hometown, adopted hometown, Springfield, Missouri, is Springburg, USA. Springburg, USA. That's where we are, folks. And we're glad to have Craig here to tell us all this interesting stuff about, of all things, socks. Now, Craig, yesterday I saw a podiatrist. Now, for those of you who don't know, a podiatrist is a person with a doctor's degree in foot care. They have 4 years of college, then 4 years of podiatry school, and they come out with a doctorate in podiatry, which means they can do foot and ankle surgery. And it is a specialty because there are more bones in the human foot than any other part of our body. And the podiatrist yesterday was a little bit surprised that I had that kind of interest, that I knew that had found out there are 26 bones in each foot and 32 joints. And so the foot is a very complicated thing. What does a sock being on a foot have to do with migraines, the other end of the body? I'm not being facetious. I'm just really curious about this.
And that's a great question. And I just want to disclose this now. I am not a doctor. I cannot prevent, diagnose, treat, or cure anything.
Good for you.
But somebody shared with me was a marvelous product. Jay, who is the founder of the company, his mom was diagnosed with MS when he was 13, and she was wheelchair bound in 18 months. So that being said, it's always been his passion to find out what is it, what causes MS, is there any way that we could reverse it. So Jay started looking at things around the world and doing research with neurologists and things like that. And what he found through trial and error was a sequence of pressure points in the ball of the foot. He looked at 45 years of neuromuscular science, chiropractic neurology, reflexology, and acupuncture studies. And what Jay found was a sequence of pressure points in the ball of the foot that, when activated, put your body into homeostasis, or its natural state. Basically, you have more control of your body. We have the science, we have the studies, they're doing testing with it. It's a product that is, me not being a doctor, it's hard for me to explain how the product works. I know that it works. It worked on my wife.
All right.
It worked on my knee pain.
I've been.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Go ahead, Nance.
I said thank you, Jesus, because Paul Collins, you've got aches and pains from your shoulders down.
A lot of it I attribute to 84 years of wear and tear. But I've been maybe in Branson. For those of you around the world, Branson is a little town south of Springburg, USA. And Bransonburg, USA is one of the entertainment capitals of the world. And I think it was there one time in a mall that I saw somebody dealing with flexology
Yeah.
with your feet. And I don't know, I've seen it in other places too. So that's really the basis of what's going on here with the socks. The socks have something built in to touch those particular pressure points. Is that it?
Correct, sir. There is no metals, magnets, or plastics. What they found out through trial and error and research is just a 0.5 millimeter of pressure is all that pressure point needs to be activated. So in the sock itself, first what you'll see, okay, he found a sequence of pressure points in the ball of the foot. Then what he did, he put those into the sock, because this is an easy way, it's an easy carrier. Basically, the sock is just a transport vehicle for the technology. Then he laid his fingerprint, he embedded his fingerprint into it, so that way it's intellectual property. It's not patented, because when you patent something, you have to disclose all the information and all the research and all that, and patents only last so long. But what he found, and it's crazy, because when I do turn the sock inside out and look at them, it's like, really? But they found that just enough pressure in those certain areas of the foot is enough to activate and allows the body to function properly.
I have two thoughts about this, dear friends in the audience. To keep the little humor going here in the happy hour. By the way, Matt, I've been telling people by email that this is the happy hour broadcast with Dr. Paul and Nancy. Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
Isn't that catchy? Anyway, to keep the happy hour happy, I have to admit, I was sitting here a while ago with a silly grin on my face, wondering what a woman does who wants to wear hose and high heels. Okay, what's the answer here?
That's a great question. What Jay came out with first was an insole. The sock is an extension of the insole. So, what Jay came out with first was an insole. The pattern is the same, or it's different in the insole than it is in the sock, because different densities, different pressure point patterns. But he came out with an insole. The sock came later. But if you look at our insoles, the heel of the insole itself is a little thicker. It's going to be a little too thick for a lot of dress shoes. So, about a year ago, Jay came out with what we call a thin sole.
Good deal.
It's a thin insole.
Yep.
Maybe a little double stick tape, a little adhesive. They could put it in a heel. They all have the same pattern in the ball of the foot. So they're going to hit those pressure points. So we do have a thin insole, and I left them out in my car, but we also, a little over a year ago, or about a year ago, he came out with a patch that does the same thing.
Where you wear the patch.
Where you wear the patch, it's a 24-hour patch. The first time you wear it on the inside of the dominant forearm for the first 24 hours.
In other words, if you're right-handed or left-handed.
Correct, sir. After that, after the first 24 hours, you can put it on anywhere else on the body. However, if it's not effective anywhere else on the body, put it back on the arm, because the arm is where it was designed and engineered.
Can you take it off when you shower and then put it back on?
I can't make that recommendation.
Okay. Now here's my other. You've already answered my other humor point, but I think about a number of years ago, even some guys in the Midwest who wanted to be hip, let's say, or cool or whatever, adopted the California style of not wearing any socks with their dress shoes. I saw a guy in a big hotel here in Springburg, USA, in the coffee shop, well dressed. I mean, he had a suit, shirt, tie, beautiful alligator style loafers, and no socks. So I guess you solved my issue there, because he could wear. Now, I'm not a California kind of guy. I wear socks.
I do too.
But I find all of this extremely fascinating. Well, we take a little break here. I want Nancy, and there's a point in this we'll let you know, and Matt can be looking up his commercial. Nancy, people may be curious about old Dr. Paul and Nancy. What do we do after a broadcast? What are you going to do today?
Oh, we're going to go someplace unique and awesome.
There you go. Hang on, Pam Whining. Hang on. Jim Whining, your wife Pam, going to love this. Okay.
The store is called Surplus Grocery Warehouse, and it's on 4560, that's 4560 South Campbell, in back of the Shadowwood Center, and it's Suite L as in low 100.
Low.
And they got 50 to 80% off. Whoa! Dry groceries, general merchandise, all kinds of good stuff. Oh boy, canned goods, cheap, 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 you guys. You don't pay $1 and some odd for canned goods. You pay less than half.
Not only, but they don't have any fresh meat or fresh fruit or fresh vegetables.
Nope.
It's all packaged, canned, etc. But
Yes.
general merchandise and all that. Now, this is not what you call a free commercial. This is a point of interest. But we plan to have the young couple, precious young couple, who work hard in there on the show sometime to tell us where and how they get all this stuff.
I know we could also have the owner.
And, I mean, what an operation. People don't stop to think, where do they get it? I mean,
That's right.
and how's it transported? How often does stuff come in? How do they recycle the stock? I mean, I think it's a big story.
It is. It's awesome.
Now, we're also going to have, and Jackie Scott, if you're paying attention, I will send you an email with all this, but in September, we're going to have some more medical people on the show. We're also going to have some more communications people on the show, and we're going to have someone on the show that can help us and tell us about home security, keeping your house safe, and so forth. So September is going to be a great month on the Happy Hour broadcast with Dr. Paul and Nancy. How about that? Matthew, you have anything for us?
I absolutely do, Dr. Paul.
Okay.
All right. So, hey, everybody. Good to see you guys here. It's a lot of interesting stuff going on at Dr. Paul's show today. Dr. Paul and Nancy, and, of course, Craig with his foot over there. Anyways, I was looking at naturalsolutionstore.bz, and I realized, Dr. Paul, a couple of the products on here is real crappy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's llama beans natural fertilizer. That's a natural solutions to helping your plants or your grass.
Is that a new? That's a new one. So now we're up to 45.
Yeah, it's been on there for a couple weeks, but I just now had the guts to actually say this on there. There's one that says "Kick Butt Llama Beans," not lima beans, but llama beans fertilizer.
Oh, llama, like LLAMA.
Yes,
the
llama,
animal.
like llama beans.
Yeah, Jim and Pam, remember?
Oh yeah.
Now that's in the same line. We've also got hot sauce on here. We've got one of my favorites that I use all the time is Super Hemp Balm, which is great for all your aches
That's
and
good
pains,
stuff.
whether it be bone ache, muscle ache. I even used it on a toothache once, although I don't think that's a recommended way to use it. But I was desperate. My back was hurting so bad that after a couple days of grinding my teeth, I guess I had a cavity and it just started hurting really bad. Well, I found out this stuff worked really good on my back. So what I did after that, when I had a toothache, I thought, doesn't taste that bad. It's all natural. So I went ahead and smeared a little bit, just a tiny, tiny bit on my gum. And you know what, Dr. Paul? The pain went away.
Matt, I'm glad you brought that up.
So,
Because
so what I want you guys to do is I want you to go on there, www.naturalsolutionstore.bz. Check out all the stuff they got on there. They got stuff for heart health. They got stuff for mind health. And some of us need brain health.
no.
Yeah.
I've been accused of that myself from time to time. So they've got all kinds of stuff for antioxidants, just like crazy on there. So go online, naturalsolutionstore.bz, and pick up something today. Tell them that Dr. Paul and Nancy sent you. I think I don't know if we've got an actual code for that yet, but we're working on it.
All right.
But anyways, yeah, back to you guys. And Craig, sock it to us.
Thank you, sir.
Socket. Oh, about your
I've been
tooth.
working really hard on that one
I
this
can
whole
tell.
show.
I can tell. You're so clever. I'm glad that we have Jason Cobb over there. He's quiet, but when he speaks, he's the voice of reason, which we have no room for him on this show. These guys do Monday through Friday from 8 until almost 9 o'clock morning drive. And they've been doing it for, what, 4 years? Something like that?
Yes,
And we've been doing the happy hour for a year, a little over. Anyway, about your toothache, Matt, let me tell you, next time, just come to my house, because my dad showed me when I was a little kid how to take a pair of pliers
Oh, yeah.
and pull a jaw tooth.
It was a molar, so
Yeah, well, my
and it was
dad,
up on the top.
that's right, my dad showed me how to do
Those are
that.
pretty close to the sinus cavity.
Needle
That's
nose.
all right, my dad showed me how to do it.
Needle nose.
That's right. I have dental insurance.
Okay,
I-
that's all right, I take insurance. All you have to do is just send in, get the money, and give it to me. But see, I have these snub-nosed pliers.
Toothaches can make you feel so bad pain-wise that you think about pulling it out yourself.
Well, next time, just come see me.
The old
because
Dr. Paul treatment.
I'll be cheaper than your corner dentist. And my dad, literally, I'm serious, he showed me how to do that because I saw him pull Charlie Lawrence's tooth. Charlie was laying on his back on a big old concrete cover for a cistern well, and he sent his son across the street who said, "Mr. Collins, my dad wants to see you." So I went with my dad over there, and Charlie said, "Joel, I've got an awful toothache. I need you to pull this tooth." My dad said, "Well, Charlie, I can't do that." He said, "Yeah, you can. You got some pliers right there in your pocket." See, Dad wore bib overalls and had pliers in the pocket, big old snub-nosed black pliers. And Charlie insisted, so my dad said, "Okay." And it was almost like he was saying, "Now, kids, watch this. You're going to learn something." So Charlie laid on his back, and I saw my dad reach in there, get hold of that molar, and came out with it. And then Charlie sat up, spit a few times, said, "Thanks, Joel. That feels better already." See, I know how to do that. So just
Well,
come
that's
see me.
really good, Dr. Paul. I will say that another thing you can do is right afterwards, or even beforehand, smear some super hemp balm on there, and it should feel better right away.
How about if I sterilize using the CBD oil? Can I sterilize the front of my pliers? Would that help?
I would prefer you use really hot, like torch, to heat them up. That's a good way to sterilize, but don't wait until it's cool. If
Now
it's
you-
going to be painful, it may as well be painful.
I can imagine my secretary Shirley in St. Joe sitting there shaking her head, smiling, thinking, "Where has this show gone? What happened to my former pastor?" Okay, by the way, we have some news on the serious side. Some of you may know that Dr. Jim Whining is originally from Wichita. That was his hometown. Also in Wichita were the Koch brothers, Koch Industries, billionaires. Just got word this morning that David Koch, the younger of the two brothers, 79 years old, died. A number of years ago, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they didn't give him long to live, but he lived like 8 years or so. Anyway, David Koch, age 79, passed away. His brother Charles, who's a couple of years older, is the one who made the announcement. And David and Charles Koch, Koch Industries, had contributed millions of dollars to various political causes, and I'm certain to other causes as well. So, big man in the news and still making news at this time. Our sympathy to the Koch family and our prayers to the Koch family and all their friends If 79 is too young to go. 79 is too young. We have some other things in the news. We have San Francisco changing the designation of a convicted or somebody convicted of a felony. They call them, they don't say they did a criminal thing. They say they had a justice system involvement. And if it's a juvenile who gets in trouble, they didn't commit a crime. They say they had a juvenile system involvement. Now, that's what I call a whitewash, really. And for those of you who don't know what a whitewash is, it's when you take something that's pretty dirty and you just cover it up with whitewash that when a good rain comes along, whitewash is gone. We used to whitewash trees up so high, tree trunks, to keep bugs from climbing up the trees to destroy the trees. We also are looking at a lot of news about China. China says that they can take us out of the Pacific anytime they want to. They can overpower us. A lot of news from Russia. Vladimir Putin says that Russia has a missile that flies too high and too fast to be stopped. It's an unstoppable weapon. But tell us about it, theologian.
Oh, I know, that's right. I'm seeing, all somebody has to do is say, they're going to do this or that, and they've got this or that that's able to go in very short time and destroy something. I'm thinking Jesus is so good because he is so everywhere, and he knows every person and the thoughts and intents of their heart. He's so far ahead of them, they wouldn't even have time to think before the Lord already knew. That is so awesome. And one of these days, when one of those countries unleashes something, whoa, doggies, that's going to show how awesome and mighty God is because of what he's going to do in however way he thinks is best to do it. Whoa, isn't that awesome? Whoa, just think of that.
And as all the televangelists say, every other sentence, amen.
Oh, I don't want amen.
Nancy,
Say, so be it.
Now, Nancy likes to use the phrase, so be it. All right. Now then, how many of us are ready to move to Greenland? They make it out as though President Trump was the first one to mention purchasing Greenland. But this is something that's been on the minds of American politicians for a long time. And those who think it's really strange, especially west of the Mississippi, we're living in the Louisiana Purchase. It was purchased by our government many years ago.
Pretty cheaply, if my memory serves me correctly.
That's right. And everybody in New York,
Like
they're
$24 or something crazy. It was astronomically low amount.
well, it was a few million.
Was it?
Yeah, but what you're thinking about is New York, Manhattan Island.
Ah,
Yeah, all the New Yorkers, they're living in an area that was purchased from Native Americans with some beads and trinkets that are valued at about $24.
that's what it was.
So then, let's see, we have the purchase of Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
It was bought from Russia. How about that?
What about Hawaii?
Hawaii, I don't know if we bought it or if we just took it. I don't remember. I do remember when there was a discussion about giving the Panama Canal to the Panamanians. And one of our United States senators at that time, John Ashcroft, was very much in favor of giving the canal back to Panama.
They've done it now, haven't they?
Oh yeah, they've had it. We gave it to them years ago. However, there was an old United States senator of Japanese heritage in California, and he was a staunch conservative Republican, believe it or not. And so this was olden days. He said, "I don't see any reason to give it back to give it to the Panamanians. We stole it from them fair and square." Don't you wish we had some more honest politicians? And I heard something today where they were comparing Donald Trump and Harry Truman to each other from the standpoint of how they went into office unexpectedly. And Harry Truman still receiving very high marks, the man from Missouri. As I said last week, played piano. And all that anybody ever heard him play was the Missouri Waltz. And he did that on purpose, I'm sure. But Harry Truman, and then I heard this morning that years after he left the White House, there was something that transpired with Israel, and someone said, Mr. Truman, if it had not been for you, Israel would not exist today. And he wept. Can anybody imagine Harry Truman shedding tears? But he did. He was a real human being from Lamar, Missouri. Walked behind a plow, a single plow, pulled by a mule. Moved to Kansas City, went into the men's clothing business, went bankrupt, became a county judge, which would be like county commissioner, like we had with Bob Dixon here the other day. And from there to the United States Senate, from there to vice president, and within about 3 or 4 months was president of the United States and served with great distinction. No one seems to ask what university he went to or what law school he went to, because he didn't. What a man. All right, Russia, Greenland, and then one of the big stories, homeless in our cities. This has become a huge problem. San Francisco, Los Angeles, other major cities, but especially cities in warm climates that stay predominantly warm, they have a major health hazard because of human beings living on the streets. So we have enough of those kinds of things going on in the news to attract our attention. And the only way we can keep this a happy hour broadcast is for us to say one of the other things that we will do today, besides going to Nancy's, one of her favorite stores, we will go see my favorite cardiologist. I've had him for 4 years, the only cardiologist I ever had. I wouldn't have had him if I hadn't had a heart attack. So, folks, when I tell you, go to naturalsolutionstore.bz, I'm serious, and it's not hard to find it. Products are very reasonably priced. If you don't need the products, or if you, well, everybody needs them, if you have a little extra money, hit the donate button to the Helping Hands Fund so that somebody who has a problem affording the products can get them, because there's all kinds of men and women who ought to be taking CoQ10 for heart health. Everyone in this room should be taking CoQ10. All right. Enough about that. The rest of the things that I'll do today, I'm going to process about 200 emails. Yes, I get around 200 a day on average, and I processed some early this morning. I will be processing email when we get home. That's the way we wrap up Friday, and on Saturday, well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll wait and see. Back to socks.
Oh, no, that's right.
I noticed, fashion-wise, you seem to be right at the center, the epicenter. Right now, men are wearing all kinds of colored socks. Hold up that one pair there with the stripes. Look at that. Now, I've seen guys on television, on talk shows, network shows, wearing socks that look like that. The other one on the phony foot is orange, and I think you're wearing those. Do they come in any other? What colors do they come in?
They come in, as far as the short ones, white, black, gray, a dark blue, and red. As far as like the mid-calf crew socks, they are in black, white, gray, and dark blue, as well as our knee-high. We do have a knee-high, which are amazing for traveling. People that travel a lot, knee-highs are amazing. They all do the same thing. They all have the tech and the ball of the foot. The difference between the heights is the higher you come up the leg, the more lower leg support it gives you. So like there's an athletic side to it as well as, people that play hockey, soccer, football, basketball. I mean, the knee highs are going to give them amazing lower leg support. And then we also have what we call a wellness line, which is what we like to see the diabetics wear that have circulation issues. This is a zero compression sock. Our socks work internally. Compression socks are generally designed to push blood back up, but this is our wellness line of socks. These are very comfortable. They have a thicker footbed. They still have the tech in the ball of the foot. And what kind of, when you look at the top of this sock, it kind of goes out rather than tapered in, so it's not going to leave that tight ring around your leg. But that is a very, very comfortable sock.
Okay, what's the lifespan of your socks?
It's a good question. Depends on use and care. If you're somebody, let's just say you're a landscaping guy or somebody, or let's say a UPS FedEx driver, somebody that's always spinning on their feet, I would recommend an insole. I'd say try an insole. That's probably going to be the best value because all that spinning would probably wear out the bottom of the sock. So when I talk with somebody, I try to find out what they do because I'm out to offer the value to people and not see them throw money away.
I see. This is, Nancy, extremely interesting to me,
I'd say so.
but I still am trying to work my way around the female audience. Now, I remember when I was growing up in high school during Happy Days, during the 50s, girls wore saddle oxfords and bobby socks. And then they had sock hops. The dances were called sock hops. You guys want to know why they called them sock hops?
They had to take their shoes off to go to the gym.
There's the voice of reason. The dances were held in on the basketball floor of the gymnasium, and so regular street shoes were not allowed. You had to take your shoes off, dance in your socks. That's why they were called a sock hop. Never hear that term anymore.
I wish those would come back.
I do too. I used to be able to cut a mean rug on a hardwood floor, I'll tell you.
Did a lot of people slip and fall?
No, if they did, it looked like part of the dance. No,
makes sense.
because the kind of dancing we did, you wouldn't know about. But we were holding each other up.
It wasn't jump around.
It wasn't all these wild gyrations. We would hold the girl up, and she would help hold us up. And to do that, you had to have your arms around each other and be very close.
This is a G-rated show, Dr. Paul.
Well, you already messed that up with your commercial. Oh, my. The happy hour broadcast with Dr. Paul and Nancy. Best look on Facebook, that's for
neat.
sure, when you have
That's
beautiful
neat.
socks. I need to know more. Go ahead.
Craig, have you ever thought about going to a nursing home and talking with the nurses about people that might benefit by those socks?
Yes, I have.
Good deal.
I would like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to add a little more
Sure,
information.
Oh, yes,
go ahead.
please.
We're ready.
This is an article that I pulled off the internet, about 2 months ago. And they're talking about slip and falls in elderly. And, where was it on here? I have it highlighted on another sheet. When an elderly slips and falls, they are 5 to 8 times higher risk of dying within the first 3 months of a
That's
hip
right.
fracture compared to
right.
those without a hip fracture.
That's right.
Where our products really help with like the elderly community are within 7 or 8 seconds, the tech is going to hit the brain stem, instantly increasing balance, stability, and range of motion. They've done the testing. We've had, they did a 1,000-person intake study on painful diabetic neuropathy. We had a 90% decrease in pain.
Oh, that's awesome.
90% of the
Whoa.
participants had a significant decrease in pain, went from a level 4 down to a level 2, so they could still go about their day.
To butt in, that's
ahead.
really neat because you think about, I'll say, the pain meds that some people might need to take. There's a possibility